In this video, I'm checking out the brand new, going to be released in about a week, Tamron 150-500mm f5 to 6.7 Di3 VXD, and I'm looking down because I have to read it. It is a long name. This is a very important lens for Tamron because this is the first native Sony E mount lens that they've created that reaches 500 millimeters. They have the 150-600, but you have to use adapters to get it to work on your Sony full frame camera. So this is a big deal, and it's also a big deal that they are loaning this lens to me for a couple of weeks to review, which is awesome. I'm looking forward to working with Tamron on other lens reviews in the near future as well. So let's jump straight into it. The Tamron 150-500mm comes in a huge white box. Inside there is some literature, an Allen key, and some bolts, and the lens itself. And let me tell you, this thing is a beast. It comes in at just over 4 pounds, almost 2 kilograms. It's about 8 inches long collapsed and 11 inches long fully extended. It is made out of plastic, rubber, and glass, but it feels very nicely made. In my opinion, it is a few steps above the Tamron 28-75mm in terms of build quality. This lens is made in Vietnam. Let's start at the back of the lens because there is a lot to cover. This 150-500 has a metal mount, electronic connections because it supports autofocus. The VXD in the title of this name stands for Voice Coil Extreme Torque Drive, which is a linear motor focus mechanism that is quiet and quick for autofocus. There is a small rubber gasket around the mount, and in fact there are 9 rubber gaskets that I count in this little graphic that make this lens weather sealed, which is a very good thing as you probably will be using this lens outside a lot. Moving forward, there is a detachable tripod mount that attaches via a screw and is Arca Swiss compatible. In front of that is a focus ring, very smooth and light to rotate as it is not mechanically connected to anything, but with a lens like this you will probably be sticking to autofocus most of the time anyway. Now on to the fun stuff. There is a lock switch that locks the zoom ring for transport so you can't move the barrel in or out. 4 more switches on the side here. The first is a focus limiter switch with 3 settings. The second is an autofocus manual focus switch. The third is a VC or vibration control on-off switch. The fourth is a vibration control mode switch, and there are 3 modes here. The first is a standard mode, the second is one designed for panning, and the last one is optimized for framing. In front of that is a large zoom ring that goes from 150 to 500 millimeters in a quick 75 degrees of rotation. That's less than a quarter of a turn, which means you can zoom very quickly with this lens. And the rotation feels nice. It is smooth and nicely weighted. The zoom ring also has a clutch, much like the one found on the Sony 90mm macro, but in this case, it allows you to very slowly move the zoom in and out. It is incorporated very well. At the very front is a large and flat front lens element with an 82mm filter thread. Tamron also includes a premium feeling plastic lens hood that clicks securely into place on the front of the lens. It does add a couple of extra inches to the overall length of this huge thing. The 150-500 features 25 lens elements in 16 groups, including low dispersion, hybrid aspherical, and extra low dispersion elements. Mounted on my A6600, you can see that it looks a bit like I am a member of the paparazzi. It's a huge lens for an APS-C camera or even a full-frame Sony mirrorless camera, but you can still handhold it and use it without a tripod, especially because it has that excellent VC vibration control built in. Now, I've used this lens for just about 2 weeks or so on my Sony A6600. This is an A6100, but I'm recording with the A6600. And I did that because there are a lot of telephoto users out there that use APS-C because it gives you an extra 1.5x crop. This lens, instead of 150mm to 500, becomes effectively 225mm to 750mm, which is insane. You can get so close to your subjects. This lens really, you cannot compare with something like the Sony 55-210, or even the Sony 70-350 for APS-C. This is on a different level. So again, on my A6600, you get a 1.5 times crop factor. So equivalent field of view is 225 millimeters to 750 millimeters. And everything that I'm going to be talking about was shot on my A6600, no post-processing, no corrections at all. It is crazy how close you can get to wildlife with such detail. I found that this lens performed very well. The autofocus was quick, silent, and very accurate. The only problem I saw with autofocus was in low light. Low light accuracy drops significantly and noticeably. So if it gets dark, this lens really doesn't like to focus very accurately. When you combine low light with motion, it gets worse because again, this lens isn't the best for fast action or fast moving subjects. But when you do have good outdoor lighting and have a subject that isn't moving, the results speak for themselves. Detail is insanely good, remarkably sharp even all the way out at 500 millimeters, and all of these shots are handheld, no tripod was used at all. And that's one of the great things about this lens, the vibration control is very good. Between the IBIS on the A6600 and the VC on the lens, I was able to comfortably hold this lens at effectively 750 millimeters and capture sharp photos. I left the lens in VC mode 1 for all of my testing, and as you can see in this video, it does a really good job at stabilizing the handheld footage. There is still a little bit of that jello effect, but it is more than enough for standard photography. With a crazy telephoto lens like this, you also get a lot of compression. Even at f6.7 and at 500 millimeters, you can, if you have enough distance between yourself and your subject, use this lens for portraits. And the results here on a beach in Florida were very respectable. The stabilization, again, was very nice, and the autofocus was nice and accurate. Flaring is visible on this lens, but it doesn't look too bad at all. Chromatic aberrations also are very well controlled. All in all, it is a good performing lens from a distortion standpoint. After spending a few weeks with this lens, I understand the appeal of the telephoto lens more than ever before. I am by no means an expert at using one or taking excellent photos with one, but I do admit it was fun being able to zoom in so closely, so quickly, and take shots just like these. So in the end, I like this lens, and I would recommend it if you are looking for an excellent zoom telephoto lens for your APS-C or full frame Sony mirrorless camera. It's very well built, autofocus works excellent, vibration control is awesome, and you can get some very sharp images with it. I wouldn't recommend this for low light situations because again, it's not the fastest telephoto out there. You can find something that's f2.8, although it's going to be bigger and a lot more expensive, but that would be better for fast action and low light situations. But for general outdoor use for photographing birds or airplanes, whatever it is, this is an excellent choice. Right now, this thing is available for pre-order on B&H. It comes in at $13.99, so $1,400. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope you guys learned something from it. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have any questions or what your thoughts are in general in reference to this sort of telephoto lens. And if you use telephoto lenses on your APS-C cameras. I know that a lot of people like not having to use a teleconverter and getting that extra 1.5x crop and having the full sensor 24.3 megapixels. That is going to be it for me. Special thanks to Tamron again for loaning this out to me. I have to pack it back up and send it back to them today, which is sad. And I never thought I would say that about a telephoto lens because again, it's not my favorite type of lens, but this one was a lot of fun to shoot with. So thank you so much for all of your comments, all of your likes, and your support. Stay tuned for more, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.